So tragic. All right, joining us now is Hoover Institute Senior Fellow Victor Davis Hanson. Victor, thanks for joining us on The Bottom Line. Just give me your reaction. When we have moms like this talking about the scourge of drugs, and it's been a partisan issue at the border, does this become an American issue for politicians now in the House and across the country?
Yeah, it does, but the border was essentially closed in 2020. The wall, if it had been completed, would have closed most of it. And we stopped catch and release, and we made people apply for refugee status back in Mexico. And we didn't demonize the Border Patrol and say they whip people. So we have to be realistic about the change of attitude that's resulted in 5 million illegal entries. Fentanyl has killed almost twice as number of people who died in Vietnam. It's killed about 12 times more than all the people in the last 20 years who died in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's cost $1 trillion in medical care for those who were sickened and injured by it. And then we know what it's about. It's raw product from China goes into Mexico. Cartels set up special manufacturing plants. They stamp out pills deliberately to look like other drugs, and they send it to the United States. And Mexico says they can't do anything about it. Right now, as we speak, the top drug enforcement officer in all of Mexico is on trial in Brooklyn for colluding with the cartels, being paid off. So it's not going to stop unless we do something. And I think we have to finish the wall. And we have to tell the Mexican government, you get $60 billion from remittances from illegal aliens in the United States. The vast majority are subsidized on entitlements by the U.S. government to free up that cash. So we're going to tax it at 10%. Until you do something about the fentanyl problem. And then we have to tell the Chinese, we have to get really tough because this is a war. It's much more deadly than any of the wars we've fought since World War II. We lost 100,000 souls in 1 year. And we should tell the Chinese, what will it take for you to stop that? Maybe we should tell the 360,000 Chinese students that are necessary for this modernization in China that you have to go home and you can't come back until the fentanyl stops. And if we were to do any of those kind of draconian measures, I think Mexico and China would stop immediately.
Right, 1.1 million Americans dead from the Wuhan flu, and how many more have to die from fentanyl poisonings? Victor, speaking of the war here at home, you wrote this article saying destroying meritocracy is deadly. How do we reverse this?
Well, I think you have to just say that you can call me any name you want, but I'm not a racist, I'm not a sexist, I'm for merit and racially and gender blind admissions and hiring. And then you have to enforce that because the railroad companies that were involved in this latest Palestinian were bragging that half of all their hires are based on superficial appearance. They were diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. And we've seen all of these near miss airline crashes. We've seen the Department of Transportation, Mr. Buttigieg, is a complete incompetent, and it's going to destroy us. And a lot of employers are looking at these woke admissions and the destruction of the SAT. They're not required now, and they're giving their own tests because they know that these brand names, Duke, Yale, Harvard, the last 3 years, there have been no standards in admission, and they had watered down their courses to ensure graduation, and they can't trust the prestige brand name anymore, that their graduates know anything. So it's really, I mean, there's a reason why we're not Mexico or we're not countries abroad. It's because we were racially and ethnically blind and we had a meritocracy. We weren't tribal. But we're going back to third world tribalism, and we should expect to have a lifestyle that reflects that transformation.
Well, I get concerned about the downfall of America when, I mean, your companies are going to rot, like to your point, the schools are going to rot, your military, your science. It's a downfall of everything, and you become a third world country very quickly if we don't use meritocracy. Final word, we have about 15 seconds, Victor.
Yeah, I go to the Middle East a lot, and I see these naturally rich countries. I ask what's wrong, and I always get the same answer. We hire our first cousin, the member of our tribe, rather than the most qualified. That says it all.
It doesn't work, Victor. Victor Davis Hanson, thank you for joining us.
Please come back, Victor. We could talk to you for hours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.